Hey, it's James. Welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you are here. Today I'm going to respond to this Big 12 Media Preseason poll. What I'll do is on this side of the screen, I'll put the first 7 that they picked, and then I'll put the next 7 afterwards. Instead of going from the bottom to the top, I'm going to start from the top to the bottom because they have Texas at number 1. Oh my gosh. If you are a beloved OSU fan like I am, an alum of Oklahoma State, you know that OSU has beaten them 7 of the last 10 years. It's a fact. And when they fired Mac Brown, it's been awful ever since. You know, I think he went 9-3 their last year. I don't remember. I may be mixing up that story of what happened up in Lincoln. They fired a coach that went 9-3, and they haven't seen that since. I think maybe he went 7-6. I don't know. I just know Mac Brown is doing wonderful at North Carolina. So, look, can Sarkisian turn things around? Sure, but not with Ewers. Ewers is not the quarterback, and I'll just make this prediction now. Either before or during the OU game, Ewers will be benched and Arch Manning will be the starting quarterback. Can they win 8-9 games? Sure they can. They got great talent. Sarkisian has recruited well, and they'll get 8 or 9, but they're not winning the conference this year. Now, the Media Preseason poll picked KState at number 2. I think they're my favorite to repeat, because Will Howard is much better than he was 2 years ago. I saw him in person during the pandemic year where they only allowed like 15,000 people into the stadium. Will Howard has improved drastically since then. He's capable of going to the NFL. And he is going to lead K-State, and they're going to have a very successful year this year. I will say this, they got TCU at home, that rematch of the Big 12 title game. So, and they've got a new indoor practice facility. They changed the facade on the west side of the stadium, so it looks much better than it did before. I did a video on K-State in January. You can go back and look at that. But K-State is definitely headed in the right direction. They definitely hired the right coach at the right time to replace the legendary Bill Snyder. That coaching staff that came from North Dakota State, they're going to win in the Big 12 as long as they stay. It would not shock me if somebody in the Big 10 offered more money, like Wisconsin did to Luke Fickell. But as long as this coaching staff is at Kansas State, they're going to win. They got OU at number 3, and I don't have a problem with that. Dylan Gabriel, this is his second year in the system. He knows that offense. He's going to be much more comfortable in that offense. And I just think they're going to do... They started... I mean, I was there for Bedlam last year. They obviously had a great start. Obviously, OSU made some changes on the defense, and OU wasn't able to score from the second quarter on, but they did enough in the first quarter to win the game. So OU's got a good football team. I like Brent Venables. He's a defensive-minded coach. He reminds me of Bob Stoops. So I think they're going to have success in the SEC. I question Texas, but I think OU is going to have success in the SEC. Texas Tech, great coaching staff. I don't like Show, their quarterback. I honestly think Morton's a better quarterback. Morton came in Stillwater and was guns a-blazing. He looked fantastic. So maybe Show will prove me wrong. But I can say this, Texas Tech's going to be good for a long time. As long as that coaching staff is there, because they got connections to high school coaches in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and This new construction in Lubbock is just going to make the program better. They're going to have better facilities. They got one of the best looking stadiums in all of college football with that Spanish architecture. I love it. I think it's beautiful. They got TCU at 5. Look, Max Duggan had an amazing year last year, and he proved that he should have been the starter. But the fact of the matter is Chandler Morris beat him during the preseason. During the spring and summer, Chandler Morris beat him. And if Chandler Morris can prove that he is a better quarterback than Max Duggan, look out. Anybody that has to play TCU. Should they be 5th? I don't know. I'm thinking like 4th. I have to put them ahead of the Cowboys because they won last year. So we'll see. Baylor at 6, I don't know. They lost a lot of talent. They think Shapen's the guy at quarterback. He's a sophomore. He's obviously got some more experience under his belt. Very similar situation to Dylan Gabriel at OU. Statistically, players improve the most from their freshman to sophomore year. If that's the case with Shapen, Baylor's going to do well. I like Baylor Stadium. I like McLean Stadium. It's not the biggest stadium in college football, but it's got a pretty good atmosphere, and it's hard to win there. It is so hard to win there. So, Oklahoma State at 7, that's ridiculous. I don't care who the quarterback is. Now, granted, we did grab a player who was at Texas Tech and then went to Michigan. But I don't think Oklahoma State should be higher than 7 because of the quarterback play. I think Oklahoma State should be higher than 7 because they've got depth at wide receiver. They got a really good running back. Ollie Gordon at the end of the year showed that he deserves to be the man in Stillwater. I truly believe that Ollie Gordon is going to have a breakout year. He's going to have more than 1,000 yards. And as long as they can, they don't have to run the ball 50-50. It doesn't have to be 50-50 run pass. It could be 60-40 pass run. But if you have to take the running threat seriously, then you're going to have, on the edges, you're going to have one-on-one coverage, and who's ever the quarterback is going to be able to pick them apart. I don't think Rangel's the guy. I know that. Number 8, they have UCF at 8. Quite frankly, I don't think any of the new teams are going to make a bowl this year. I think the best one of the 4 is going to be BYU because their offensive and defensive lines are battle-tested. They're used to playing Power 5 teams. I think they went like 4-0 against the Pac-12 last year. But I'd have to double-check that. But they say that Plumlee come from Ole Miss. So, granted, UCF's coach was the one that was at Auburn when the last time the Tigers won the national championship. So I have to give them a fighting chance. They've got a good coaching staff. There's no doubt about that. UCF has a good coaching staff, really intelligent coach. So we'll see. Number 9, KU. I don't know. I just have to think with Daniels at quarterback. That guy's a bona fide stud. He's a cannon for an arm. He can take off running. He's basically Vince Young light. I should say he's 90% as good as Vince Young was. He's really, really good. Can he carry that team and get them to another bowl this year? Yes. Kansas will go to a bowl this year. I have no doubt about it. They may only finish 7-5, but they're going to go to a bowl game. KU is for real. They are a team you cannot sleep on. They are going to be good. Iowa State, I think Iowa State's going to be better than they were last year. The poll has them at 10. I just can't. I don't know. It's hard because, same thing I said about Blake Shapen. Deckers is a sophomore. He's going to be better than he was last year. He's not going to make as many mistakes as he made last year. So, 10, in my prediction, I had them finishing 4-8. Of course, they finished 3-9 last year, so I don't know. I don't like to see Iowa State in this situation, but somebody's got to be at the bottom. And they're pretty close to it. 11, BYU. Once again, I think their offensive and defensive lines are battle-tested. They got Slovis at quarterback. He's decent, but he's a senior. He's not going to shoot himself in the foot. He's not going to make dumb mistakes. So they're going to beat a couple teams that are of the original Pac or Big 12. They're going to have a couple victories that people aren't expecting. Now, Houston at 12, they've got Donovan Smith. He's a transfer from Texas Tech. I will say this. Dana Holgorsen knows how to run the spread offense. To get a guy like that who can run and throw, I just think it's going to take Houston a year or two to get some better offensive and defensive linemen. But Houston's going to be that's not going to be an easy win for anybody. If you think that's an easy win, you're going to walk in there and you're going to get beat. Cincinnati, I'm looking at my notebooks right there. They got a guy named Emory Jones who apparently had been at Arizona State in Florida. I don't know. There's a lot of things about Cincinnati I don't know. If Luke Fickell was still there, clearly Cincinnati would not be at the bottom of this list. But since Luke Fickell went to Wisconsin, I feel bad for you guys at Cincinnati. I truly do. Luke Fickell did you guys wrong. I wish Cincinnati could have at least tried to match or even given him a raise, and maybe could have given him 80% of the money he could have made at Wisconsin. Maybe giving him a bigger made it harder for them to fire him or something. I don't know. And they got West Virginia at last. I can't agree with this. And it's not because I liked Golden Blue Dude. God rest his soul. But Golden Blue Dude was absolutely right. When West Virginia has a dual threat quarterback, think Pat White. Think of, I can't think of the guy that was there. Syracuse and West Virginia had this amazing game in 1987. Syracuse won barely, got to the Sugar Bowl, and unfortunately they played Auburn, and Auburn had an opportunity. They scored a touchdown. It was 17-16, and instead of trying to go for two to win the game, they kick the extra point. They tie it. There's no overtime at that point in college football, and they ended the game at a tie. And so essentially the Miami-Nebraska Orange Bowl became the de facto national championship game that year. But I can tell you this, West Virginia that year, under Pat White, under this guy, they've got a dual threat quarterback who's a good athlete. They're going to win some games. I'm not saying they're going to go to a bowl game. Actually, I'm looking at my predictions. I said they were going to finish 6-6. But when West Virginia has a guy that can run and throw at quarterback, they're going to be successful. And they're going to have a couple upsets this year. I have no doubt in my mind about it. West Virginia is going to beat Pitt in the backyard brawl because it's at home. So, anyway, that's my reaction to this coach or media poll. Some of it they got right. Some of it I just have to shake my head because you look at now they had KState and OU pretty high up on the list because they've got good quarterbacks. Texas, Ewers is not the guy, but to put West Virginia that low, it shakes my head. I think they got KU too low, and I definitely think they got Oklahoma State too low. But that's fine. Gundy's been in this position before. I'll go on the record right now. I think I'm going to say OU or Oklahoma State ends up finishing around 8-4, 9-3. They got one of the easiest schedules in the entire Big 12. I'm hoping personally, since I live in the state of Texas, that the Cowboys end up in the Alamo Bowl. I actually went to the Alamo Bowl last year. It's a great setting. I love that stadium. I truly do. There's not a bad seat in the place. So, anyway, tomorrow I have a surprise for you. I'm actually, I filmed a high school stadium of all things. And you're like, well, why the heck would I want to look at a high school stadium? There's been some Division II and Division III schools that I have put on this channel that have less than 10,000 seats. The school I show you tomorrow has a capacity, high school stadium has a capacity of 11,500. That is amazing. Remember, Houston Baptist had 5,000 capacity. Of course, they only had seats on one side, but Abilene Christian has a capacity of like 12,500. And they're a D2 school. So, think about that. So, anyway, if you are new to the channel, please hit like and subscribe. I'm not sure what I did to offend somebody, but apparently somebody unsubscribed the other day. So, you win some and you lose some. So, but I'm going to work hard to put good, solid content on this channel for you. Don't forget, in a couple weeks, I am going to South Carolina. We're going to try to get South Carolina, Clemson, and Georgia. Maybe redo that video in Charlotte, the one that I accidentally deleted. That's actually a decent stadium, surprisingly. You'll be if I get a chance to do that one. I've seen it in person. It's actually a good-looking stadium. So, anyway, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you for watching, and as always, go Pokes.